Chapter 13. The monkeys eventually find some bottles of rum and become drunk. When it is discovered they are drunk, Sampat defends them with a proverb no one can understand. The monkeys become addicted to alcohol and forage for it among all the pilgrims' bags. The pilgrims are afraid of being bitten, and a war with the monkeys begins. Sampat alone is forgiving, but the monkeys have gone too far. Chapter 14. Mr. Chawla worries that their scheme may fail, just when his bank account was getting fat enough to buy shares in the VIP Hosiery Products Company. He tells his son that he should have a proper hermitage inside a concrete structure that will keep the monkeys out. He starts to give Sampat advice on how to handle the crowds. The monkeys throw apples at him. Sampat is worried but immediately forgets his trouble by watching the beautiful insects on the tree. When Kulfi brings him dinner, he complains about the conspiracy to get him out of the tree. She says cheerfully that they could poison everyone. Sampat feels his mother and the monkeys are the only ones who understand him. The monkeys get more and more wild, even going to the bazaar to steal alcohol. One day, they rip up everything in the orchard, and the next day, Mr. Chawla goes to town to appeal to the officials about the problem. Chapter 15. The chief medical officer is in constant fear of his ulcers flaring up. When Mr. Chawla arrives to discuss the crisis, the chief medical officer realizes the trouble that could ensue if he got involved. He reminds Mr. Chawla of the sacred nature of monkeys, who were God Rama's followers. The chief medical officer calls the biology department at Lady Chatterjee University to handle the problem. Verma, the head of the biology department, has his own theory he would like to test, killing the lead monkey and hanging him in view of the others. His wife tires of his theories and warns him the Hanuman monkey temple will be after him if he tries to interfere. In the local army post, the brigadier picks up the phone. It is Verma, who gets him by mistake. The brigadier watches birds through binoculars to relax. His goal is to find a green pigeon. He calls the police superintendent, who is not available, because he is getting his shoes shined. When the brigadier tries to call the public health department, he gets several wrong numbers. The brigadier gets in a jeep to visit the CMO. The CMO had gone with Mr. Chawla to see Verma at the university. All the officials missed each other that morning and were not able to discuss the monkey menace. In the orchard, Sampat scolds the monkeys, who have hangovers, but he forgives them. Chapter 16. In his family's house, the hungry hop boy nurses his ear, bitten by Pinky Chawla for no reason that he knows. He is babied by his family of 12 women and 3 men. Sampat thinks the end is coming. Either the monsoon season or the monkey problem will force his removal from the tree. He loves his monkey friends, even when they behave badly. He wants to stay in the orchard to become part of its beauty. Pinky writes a note of apology to the hungry hop boy. She tries to deliver it, but the house is guarded by his female relatives. She sees him sitting in the bathroom window, and taking him with the note in a stone, hits him in the jaw. He is knocked out, and when he comes to, reads the note and is confused with feelings of love. She comes every day. His family thinks he has lost his mind and decides to marry him off, sending a message to Mr. Chawla to keep his daughter at home. Mr. Chawla lectures Pinky and orders Ammaji to be her chaperone. Ammaji has to wear tennis shoes to keep up with Pinky. After a while, Ammaji gives up. Pinky continues stalking the hungry hop boy, bribing the milkman to carry their notes. Chapter 17. Sampat writes a poem, inspired by his memory of Brother John at the missionary school. He only feels close to his mother and the monkeys. The spy follows Kulfi around and begins to wonder why his mind is so full of Sampat's teachings. He feels he is being seduced. Kulfi is bored, and keeps searching for new ingredients, realizing she has never cooked monkey. The spy loses her as she climbs into the wild mountain country, daydreaming she is a royal cook conquering the world, for whatever ingredient she wants. Chapter 18. The war with the monkeys escalates, many devotees are injured. The monkeys go freely in orchard or bazaar, and it is not safe to be out alone. There are articles on the danger of monkey bites in the papers, and Hanuman temple protests on behalf of the monkeys. The officials realize they are in for a severe problem. There are two camps of devotees, one that wants the monkeys destroyed, and one that wants them protected. Sampat is forgotten in the controversy. Meetings and arguments all over town disrupt the once peaceful town of Shopot. Chapter 19. Varma at the university works on his plan to kill the cinema monkey and display its carcass. He delivers this plan to the CMO and sends a copy to the new district collector, who has not yet arrived. Varma's wife plots a separation from him because she does not approve. The brigadier also has a plan, a firing squad of 100 men, combing the bush and discharging rifles to scare the monkeys. The CMO suggests revoking all liquor licenses. The superintendent of police does nothing because he is lazy. The officials go to Sampat to get his blessings for their projects. Crowds of outraged citizens go along with them. Sampat cannot understand their hysteria. He can only speak to a crowd when he is happy, so he says nothing. The ugliness of the situation makes him vomit in their midst, and they leave. Chapter 20. The new district collector, who has authority from the central government, arrives from Delhi. Mr. Gupta, who used to work with Sampat in the post office, is appointed his secretary. Mr. Gupta meets the new district collector at the train. He tries to explain the situation and takes the DC to his new home. The new DC is a young, untried civil servant, and his first posting was supposed to be easy. But suddenly, he is thrust into an emergency for which he is ill-prepared. Chapter 21. The DC is engaged in meetings with all the officials. He is terrified to look out his window and see the crowds. The evening before, he had gone to the orchard to see Sampat. Sampat and the DC both felt equally vulnerable to the crowd and sympathetic to one another. The Monkey Protection Society puts pressure on the DC, who makes the brigadier stop firing on the monkeys. Then the CMO calls, followed by angry shopkeepers who do not want their liquor licenses revoked. They hear the crowd shouting Sampat's slogans. The monkeys make another raid. Mr. Chawla approaches the DC with an idea to catch the monkeys and truck them off to another forest. The DC agrees, and adds that the Baba will have to descend from the tree temporarily while they clean up the orchard. A date is set, but Sampat says he will not descend or abandon the monkeys. Kulfi gets the strange idea of cooking a monkey on this day of cleanup. Everything in the orchard now looks like the town: garbage, advertisements, people. Sampat again feels caught in a trap. Chapter 22. The brigadier trains his men to catch monkeys. The police are preparing the nets. In the orchard, Sampat is wondering how to escape. He is nervous and unable to sleep or eat. His mother cannot tempt him with food. On April 30th, the day of the attack, she begins her great feast. Sampat stares into the mountains where there is a waterfall and no people. The monkeys play in the tree, unaware of the plotting against them. Chapter 23. The hungry hawk boy is trapped in his room, guarded by his relatives, who are plotting his marriage. He gets a note to Pinky, and she sends a note back proposing they escape in the Hungry Hawk van on April 30th when everyone is catching monkeys. They should meet at 5 a.m. under the tamarind tree. He agrees. Pinky packs and offers to take her brother with them. But Sampat refuses. Meanwhile, the hungry hop boy is introduced to his bride, who turns out to be very pretty. His family promises him a car and a television, and he begins to have doubts about Pinky. On the fateful morning, he gets in his truck, still undecided, and heads to the rendezvous, but is cut off in the streets by the cars and people heading toward the orchard. Chapter 24. The DC gets up at 4 a.m. to join the army to go to the orchard where they plan to meet the police. When he tries to go out of his driveway, it is blocked by the belongings of the disgruntled cook, who is leaving his job. Just as the brigadier is pulling out with his troops, he spots the green pigeon he has been looking for. He gets a net, but the pigeon gets away. He thinks this a bad omen. The DC catches up to the brigadier, and they run into the CMO, who is trying to leave town on vacation. The DC wishes he had gone into computers instead of civil service. The brigadier is warned not to go by Verma's house, for his wife is moving out. The cavalcade proceeds slowly until they all get blocked by the hungry hop van. Chapter 25. In the orchard, Kulfi sleeps near a boiling pot, ready for the day's catch. She wakes early and goes to the forest for a spice to flavor the pot, passing the spy. Sampat is awake all night watching the beauty of the orchard. The darkness is better than human company. He sits like a Buddha, holding a perfect guava in his hand. In the van, the hungry hop boy is still trying to make up his mind as he drives. Pinky sees the van approach, and then, it goes away. It is weaving in and out of the traffic that is trying to get to the orchard. The spy climbs the tree right over Kulfi's path, so he can see better. In the back of the brigadier's jeep, the hungry hop boy has been tied up to keep him out of the way, as the cars and trucks go to the orchard. Mr. Chawla shouts to Sampat that they are coming. The monkeys get excited, ready to escape. The soldiers get into battle formation. Pinky finds the hungry hop boy tied up by the army. She is scornful, for he has let her down. Mr. Chawla goes to the tree to rescue Sampat, but it is empty. Everyone crowds around, but all they see where Sampat used to be is a large guava with a mark like Sampat's birthmark on it. The cinema monkey picks up the guava, and leaps from the tree with the other monkeys. The monkeys travel higher and higher up the mountain. In the orchard, there is the crack of a tree branch, and the spy falls into the cauldron.